Hello, everybody. Welcome to another unit for Arts Administration. This week we're going to be talking about fundraising tactics and best practices. Having just finished up the marketing unit, hope everybody has had a great weekend. I have moved my little postage stamp up to the upper right-hand corner of the screen so as not to interfere with my excellent slides, but let you still see my excellent face. So let's get started. So last time we finished up the marketing unit, which is all about influencing people to do something commercial, either purchase or in this case, we're going to be using it to figure out how to influence people to donate. I went through the homework which looked really good, coming up with a target marketing strategy. I went through the review sessions also for the marketing unit. Everybody did really, really well on that. Take a closer look at the target marketing sections, especially the strategies that you can use to target the yes, maybe, and no groups. There was a little bit of confusion on that. If I have time, I will add that to the items that we want to review towards the end of the course. But definitely look at the various segments of the funnel here: analyze, segment, target, position, develop, and deliver, and know what those terms are. So the framework is really important, and it gives structure to your future marketing efforts. So make sure that you review that. The quizzes, in general, I noticed that the quiz format may be giving some people some trouble, and that may be my fault. The multiple choice questions should really have a single answer to them, but I think I'm choosing the wrong question type. So I'm taking that into account, and I'm giving you guys a break grading wise if you had trouble. So, but going forward, I will have them as regular old quizzes. I went through the budget analysis projects. Everybody should have a grade on that. You guys really did a knockout job with that. I was really impressed with your thinking, and all of your budgets balanced. So, congratulations on that. So yeah. One other thing that I wanted to get into, and this came up in one of the write-ups, was the concept of A/B testing, and I didn't get a chance to really get into that. An A/B test is a test of two different versions of a creative. And so here you've got two different versions, let's say, of the subject line for this email blast. But basically, it lets you test different versions of your ad copy or your subject lines or your imagery to determine which one performs best. So with an email blast, what you can do is you can set up the blast so that it automatically goes out initially with one version to 10% of your list, and then to the B version for another 10% of the list. And then you can set it up so that you wait some set amount of time, 2 days, 3 days, and you see which one is getting opened the most, which one is getting clicked on the most, and whichever one is the winner is the one that gets delivered to the other 80%. And so that's an easy way to do that. If you're going to create graphics or banners, you can A/B test those. Also, you can use different images or different faces. And what I like to do is set up two different campaigns or two different creatives, and then about a quarter of the way through the run, I just look and see which one is getting clicked on more. And whichever one is getting clicked on more, I use that one, and I turn off the other one. So that's a way that you can really fine tune how well your marketing strategies are working, and your creatives and your production is working. So let's talk about fundraising. Now, if you are at all like me, the idea of fundraising brings up memories of a bygone era where you, as a kid, went knocking on doors selling candy or bake sales and that sort of thing. Even though I personally raised the most money one year for my little league team, and I won an awesome pair of roller skates selling World's Finest Chocolate, it is uncomfortable, to say the least, to go out and ask for money. And when you're asking for more than $1 for a chocolate bar, it gets even more uncomfortable. So, but fundraising is different from sales, which is what I did. It's the solicitation of contributed income. And looking at our balance sheet and the finance section, or excuse me, the income statement, the for-profit No, it is a balance sheet, excuse me. So for-profit companies are really looking for investment capital. They're looking for equity, whereas nonprofit companies are looking for donations and looking for grants. Money, now you can get two different kinds of donations. You can get money or you can get in-kind gifts, like the text is talking about. These are unearned income. Bake sales, Girl Scout cookies. If you are actually selling something, that is earned income. It really depends on if it is a purchased item or a purchased service. Uh, the rules are fairly strict about what you can consider to be unearned income. So, but if you suffice to say that if you are selling something, if you are definitely giving a product in exchange for money, then that is earned income and not unearned income. Fundraising is an art. It's also a science, and it is also an essential part of running a theater. It is a natural and expected way. It's an expected way to pay for programs. It's not begging. It is not the thing you do when you can't sell tickets. It's not a desperate measure undertaken only when other methods have failed. It has a lot of benefits, especially for nonprofits. It contributes to a diversified revenue stream, so that helps in economic downtimes. It allows the organization to offer low-cost programs to the community and allow greater access. Community support is a huge component of the nonprofit mission. Our mission is to support the community with programming. And the fact that we can derive funding for our mission, it proves the validity of the organization's mission statement. It proves that the theater company can still be impactful if people are willing to donate money to make sure that it continues for their community. There are various groups that are involved with fundraising in an arts organization. The board of directors is in charge of kind of the top of the funnel, really. They're in charge of bringing ticket buyers and donations and recruits into the theater itself. So they're kind of in the lead generation business. A lot of theaters have set up rules for the board of the directors to ensure that donations happen. They will have either what's called a give or get policy, where each board member is either personally giving or soliciting a minimum amount of contributions per year. Now, when you do that, you have to consider the value that each board member brings into the organization. Some of them are contributing more services, accounting and legal and that sort of thing, so they are not subject to the same give or get policy. But they do bring in services that are equally valuable. So the board of directors, once they've brought in people, they kind of hand off to the staff after that to further nurture the relationship. A lot of times you'll have a development department or an advancement department or the vice president of advancement or the director of development. So what's the difference between those two? Well, they're used interchangeably quite a bit. The development, if you use the phrase development, that's really, think of it as developing relationships. The development department is responsible for getting to know the needs and the wants of a patron and working with them one-on-one to kind of align those desires with something that the theater can do as part of their mission. Whereas the advancement department is all about it's all about developing the patron, but in a different way. It's increasing their knowledge of the organization. So giving more depth to the experience of being a donor or a patron to the theater. Backstage knowledge, back office knowledge, that sort of thing. And their goal is really to instill this sense of stewardship in patrons. And stewardship really is a goal for everybody involved in fundraising. But when you think about advancement, that's really their primary goal. And you remember the repetition, the benefits of repetition for marketing was to create advocates, to create that sort of stewardship, to create theater goers who really want to be part of that experience and who will perpetuate it and become advocates. Well, that's the same function of advocates and excuse me of people in the advancement department. There are several different types of fundraising that we will talk about in this unit: the annual fund campaign, the capital campaign, endowments, planned giving, major giving, fundraisers, which unfortunately don't raise a lot of funds. Usually they generate more fun than funds, and then grants. So we'll talk through all of those in the next couple of lectures. But one really quick quiz before we go much further is, where can you find information on a company's contributed income? So where they're getting their funds, their donated funds. And this is just a little bit of a recap. So if you look on the income statement, it's going to be in the contributed income section up here in income. If you look on the balance sheet, it's going to be in the equity section. So you're either going to have capital stock if it's a for-profit company, or you're going to have unrestricted and restricted fund balances. And on the statement of cash flows, there's usually a section that's called financing, where you would see additions or subtractions from the fundraising funds. So, little recap there. So, fundraising is different fundamentally from selling, which is why contributed income is different from earned income. So there's a really good section of this toolkit that the Texas Arts Commission put out called the 10 Principles of Fundraising. And we're going to walk through those right now because these are some really good tactics that you can use when you think about fundraising. So the first one is never ask a stranger for money. This kind of goes against the idea of crowdfunding, but people give to people and because of people. Very few people give to just abstract causes. They give because of the people that they know and that they trust. That's the reason why we have a Department of Development and Advancement in a theatrical organization, is to put a face to the organization, so that we can have that sort of personal relationship. And so we are not asking strangers for money. Number two, you want to cultivate the relationship before asking for money. By and large, it takes between 2 and 3 years of exposure to an organization before people donate to it. So you want to cultivate those donors with special events and receptions and the upsell opportunities through the marketing department, meet and greet opportunities with artists, that sort of thing. Also remember that ladder sort of effect where you ask potential board members to serve on committees or to serve as on advisory boards. And then, becoming members of the organization, you only want to ask for a gift after you inform and educate a prospective donor about your organization and the merits of your organization. So cultivating that relationship. Number three, think of the needs of the donor. Your need for money is not going to motivate giving. Your providing services to meet clear community needs will. So what is the donor's interests? How will the donor benefit by giving? Again, this is how the development department works. Number four, ask for support for what you need. Stick to the plan. Don't think that you need to create some exciting campaign or some exciting new initiative for people to donate to. It's just think about what you need as an organization. You may be just raising money for operational expenses, for rent or the janitor or paying the electric bill. But if you can write cleverly about those basic needs, the money will follow. Number five, personalize your solicitation. The more personalized the approach, the more money follows. An in-person ask will generate more revenue than, say, a personal phone call, which generates more donations than a personalized letter or a personal note, which generates more than, say, a form letter. So as much as you can do to personalize the ask will reap rewards for you and your organization. Number 6, raise money from the inside out. This is, you want to ask the board and the volunteers to give before they ask others to. That's the concept of having skin in the game, really to kind of encourage that sort of, not even more than financial investment, it's a mental investment in the success of the company. Number 7, raise money from the top down. What that means is ask your best large gift prospects first when you start a new campaign. Large gifts kind of set the pace for a campaign and they build confidence. Donations, like a lot of things regarding money, donations obey what's called the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your money comes from 20% of the people that you talk to. So definitely talk with your richest people first. That also makes your campaign look successful right out of the gate, where people are, if people can see that the campaign is already 40% funded, that's people like to be part of a winning team or on a winning sort of initiative. Number 8, make the case larger than the organization. What that means is you want to show the prospects how they and their children and their community and their future is going to benefit from making a donation. On a personal level, it's, if it's the person you're talking about, you're part of the family, you're part of our family of donors. Membership privileges is another good way to be larger than the organization, is offering people privileges. And for children and for the community, you've got educational opportunities. If you can instill community pride in your program and talk that up. Overall quality of life for supporting the mission of the organization. Again, it's staying mission focused. Number 9, develop a strategy you can accomplish. You want to aim for success with your programs, but not to overreach. You want to be able to set goals that you can hit. It's kind of like budgeting in that sense. Success builds community, and donor and success builds community, donor, and volunteer confidence, so that you can go out and you can ask again for your next campaign. Everybody, like I said before, everybody wants to be associated with a winning campaign. And finally, number 10, treasure your volunteer leadership. We're going to be talking more about volunteerism starting next week. But know that your board members are all volunteers, and so if they are leading your organization for free, treasure that. Good leaders are rare, and you need good leaders in order to raise some substantial money. So those are the 10 principles of fundraising. So engrave them on a tablet somewhere and put it in your backpack. So now that you know the 10 principles of how to fundraise, let's talk about fundraising plans, because whenever you're doing a capital campaign, whether you're doing an endowment drive or a meet and greet event, you need a plan. So there are 3 components to a fundraising plan. Let's talk through those. The plan outlines what you're raising money for and how you're going to get it. So the first part of the fundraising plan is the needs statement. It could also be called the case for support or simply the case. Because it's an arts organization, there are significant variation in form for a needs statement and for a fundraising plan in general. But a good one, definitely, all of them should have needs statements, and good ones should have the other 2 elements that we're going to talk about too. The needs statement tells the internal and external stakeholders the important information about this campaign, what it's about, how the funds are going to be used, and why the organization should be supported in raising these funds. It's very similar to a positioning statement, but it's kind of a longer form one. It sets the tone for the tactics and the content production that you're going to need in order to raise funds. Typically, it can be just a paragraph long, or it can be multiple pages. Again, lots and lots of variation with fundraising plans. But they all should be focused on answering 5 main questions. What is the need? Why is it so important? Why is it pressing? How is your organization uniquely qualified to address that need? What are the benefits of addressing it? And what are the drawbacks if we don't? What are the trade-offs? Where do you see these? Well, you see them kind of everywhere, actually, and I've got a couple of them up right now. Any GoFundMe campaign always starts with a really, really good needs statement. I just pulled this one up for the NoHo Arts District, which is in Los Angeles. And this is it covers basically all of those. This is why it's important to support it, because we've got 22 theaters in one single square mile. Oh, okay. Yes, so this is Los Angeles. Yeah. And so that's one that's on GoFundMe. Here's one that's on the theater company website, which talks about, and this is a significantly shorter one. And really, this is a very small theater, so they're only trying to raise $20,000. 200 people raising $100. They've got a Facebook fundraiser. They've got a website. They probably have some other tactics that they're using too. But they've got a case statement right here. They talk about the community impact. How is the community going to benefit from this? So they pretty much cover all the things that we're talking about in the initial needs statement. You want to use a variant of the needs statement on every single tactic that you're going to use in your plan. What do I mean by tactics? Well, let's flip to the next slide, shall we? So with your needs statement, you've established the initial amount that you're trying to raise, and that's a very public-facing sort of document. The tactics list is very much internal. It's a list of what tactics you're going to use in order to generate this contributed income. Again, there is much variety in the form that this can take, but usually it can be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet, or as complicated as some online project management system. But it lists all of the tactics that are going to be used to generate the contributed income. So you could have special events, whatever the curtain speech appeals, annual appeals, subscription renewals. Be careful with your subscription renewals, because you may you may not want to ask for subscription money and donation money at the same time. You might be better served making those separate asks, because people only want to donate to they only want to buy one thing at a time. Crowdfunding sites, call campaigns, and grants. You can see here, this is a snippet from an Excel file that I put together that talks about, gives us 4 tactics. There's a meet and greet event that we're going to plan on doing, where we want to get 100 new donors. We want to generate about $5,000 of revenue from that. A call campaign, again, really making sure that we make that personal plea as much as possible. We're going to do a mailing, because old people like to get mail, and then there's a grant for an application for a facilities grant that we're going to be doing. That's going to bring us up to our total. Each tactic needs an owner and a timeline. And also, we want to have a section where we are looking at the number of donors that we expect and gift levels, which leads to the third thing that you should have in your fundraising plan, which is a gift range chart. I was going to try and replicate this in Excel for you all, but there are some pretty good ones online that allows you to do this much more easily than I possibly could. But a gift range chart lets you sort of break down according to fundraising best practices and a large amount of historical data on what is the likelihood of getting donations at a particular level. You can adjust these amounts and these gift numbers according to your company's own personal history. But basically, the idea is you want to list the number of prospects that are needed to achieve a particular donation target. In general, for each gift, you need about four to five prospects in order to get a gift person at each level. So I'm going to flip over actually to the online version of this. So let's say I wanted to raise for my initiative. Let's say I wanted to raise $20,000 and this is for my annual fund. So I do this, and it automatically tells me, well, if I need to look for one person who's going to give me who's going to get me 25% of the way there. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to talk to probably about 5 different people. So I'm going to need to be developing those relationships so that I can go out and ask for one large contribution from a single person. I would also love to get another one at the $2,400 level, and I'm going to probably need to talk to about 5 people in order to get that as well. But you can see this follows the 80-20 rule where, at about this level, I've only got 3, 2, 5, 2, 7, 8, 9 people. And if I can get them to donate 80%, then I've got to go after the remaining 4, 8, 18, 28. Well, it's not quite 20%. But I have fewer that I need to go after that I can come close to my goal. Let me just flip back over here. You definitely want to try and get some of those big donors in before you go to the public phase of the campaign, because again, everybody loves a winner. Everybody loves to be part of something that is successful. So that is the third piece of the fundraising plan. So now you know the 3 basic elements of a fundraising plan. So let's talk about what the milestone activity is going to be for this week. You're going to build one element of the fundraising plan, the needs statement. This milestone is kind of another stepping stone to the final project. You've already identified a grant that you're going to apply for. So this is sort of putting some more meat on that whole, making the grant part of an overall fundraising plan for you. And you'll work a little bit backwards to kind of fit the grant into the overall plan. But the grant is just the one tactic that you're using to secure funding for your theater. The format that I'd like this in is it definitely you want to answer the 5 questions that a needs statement is supposed to answer, and it should give more of a context to your needs for the particular grant that you're going for. I'm looking for a short essay. This does not have to be a full 5-paragraph paper, but it should be, about 1 to 2 pages, double spaced, 2 to 3 paragraphs. I'm looking for like 500 words. And we'll throw a couple extra points for this assignment. So this will be a 20-pointer, just because I'm asking for some more creative writing from you guys. This is definitely going to be an internal and external document. So you want to think about the copywriting skills from the marketing section. Remember to be bald, even in your needs statement. And this will be due end of day on Friday, the 10th. which is Good Friday. So you do in fact have the day off. On Wednesday, we will talk about fundraising types, all the 6 or 7 that the book goes through, and I think there's one in there that we don't. And I'll also go into a little bit more depth with grants. We'll also talk through the case study. We'll come back to Patrick and see what he's been doing for the last month or so. And I'll also be talking about the final project. We'll have some more detail on that for you guys, including some maybe some practice sessions on how to present online, which is a skill that everybody needs in this day and age. So that's it, and so start to work on milestone 11, and I will talk to you guys on Wednesday.